The evening began like any quiet day in the city. People walked fast, tired from long work hours, and the place smelled of street food and dust. Among the crowd was a young human named Daniel Hayes. He worked at a small repair shop, lived a simple life, and never expected anything special to happen. He believed the universe was huge, but he also believed it rarely noticed people like him. But that day, the universe did notice him. Daniel was standing in line at a small diner when he saw an old alien sitting alone outside the window. The alien looked thin, tired, and lost. His clothes were worn out, his skin a faded blue-green color, and his hands shook as he tried to count a few coins. People passed him, pretending not to see him. Some looked at him with fear, some with disgust. But no one stopped. Daniel watched silently for a moment, unsure why the sight touched him so deeply. Maybe it was the sadness in the alien's eyes. Maybe it was how alone he looked. Or maybe it was simply because Daniel believed that kindness should not depend on species. He stepped out of the line and walked toward the alien. "Sir, are you okay?" Daniel asked softly. The alien slowly lifted his head. His eyes were cloudy and tired, but kind. "I do not have enough for food," he said in broken English. "It has been many days since I ate a warm meal." Daniel felt a pull inside his chest. The alien was old, weak, and completely invisible to the world around him. "Come inside. I'll buy your meal," Daniel said. The alien blinked, surprised. "Why, you do not know me. You're hungry." "That's enough," Daniel replied. Inside the diner, people stared. Some whispered. A few moved away, as if the alien carried a disease. Daniel ignored all of them. He ordered a hot meal and placed it in front of the old stranger. The alien's hands trembled as he lifted the spoon. "You have given me more than food," he whispered. "You have given me honor." Daniel offered a small smile. "It's just dinner." The alien looked at him for a long moment, as if studying his soul. "Perhaps to you. Not to me." For a while they sat quietly. Rain began to fall outside, tapping on the windows. People rushed by with umbrellas. The alien ate slowly, savoring every bite. There was something peaceful about him, something deeply ancient, like someone who had seen many worlds. "What's your name?" Daniel asked. "Thalion," the alien murmured. "I am far from home." Daniel nodded. "Where is your home?" The old alien hesitated. His eyes drifted to the window. "Very far. A place humans call the Imperial Dominion." Daniel felt a small chill, though he did not know why. He had heard the name once or twice from news reports. Massive alien empire, countless star systems, strict rules. But why would someone from such a powerful empire be sitting alone on Earth with empty pockets? Before Daniel could ask more, Thalion placed a hand gently over Daniel's. "What you did today, it will be remembered." Daniel laughed awkwardly. "It's not a big deal, it is," Thalion said. "For you showed mercy when others showed fear." There was a sudden sound outside, low, distant, like thunder. Daniel turned to look, but the view was blurry from rain. Thalion slowly stood. "I must leave now. Are you sure you're okay?" The alien bowed his head. "Because of you, I am better than before." Daniel watched him walk into the rainy street. Something about their meeting felt unfinished, but he didn't know why. He paid the bill, picked up his backpack, and walked home through the wet roads. When he reached his apartment, the night felt heavier than usual. The rain had stopped, but the air held a strange tension, like electricity waiting to strike. Daniel unlocked his door, stepped inside, and tossed his keys on the counter. As he changed clothes, he noticed a faint hum in the air. At first, he thought it was the old refrigerator. But the sound grew louder, deeper, and the floor began to vibrate. Daniel froze, the lights flickered, and then everything outside turned bright, too bright. He ran to the window and pulled the curtain aside. His heart nearly stopped. The sky was splitting with massive shapes. Giant shadows. Warships, unlike anything human governments had ever described. They were huge metallic beasts hanging in the clouds, glowing with blue-white engines that looked like burning stars. Neighbors ran into the street screaming. Cars stopped. Dogs barked. Alarms went off. The night sky shook with roaring thunder as the ships descended. Daniel stumbled back from the window. What is happening? He rushed outside. People were pointing at the sky, some recording, some crying. A beam of light shot down from the largest ship. It hit the ground gently, forming a glowing circle near Daniel's building. The circle hummed, and the air inside it bent like liquid. Soldiers stepped out, alien soldiers in dark silver armor, carrying weapons that hummed with energy. Their armor had symbols glowing in deep red, symbols that matched the ones seen in rare news broadcasts. About the Imperial Dominion, Daniel's breath caught. The Imperial Fleet. But why were they here? The soldiers looked around, scanning the crowd. People screamed and backed away. Mothers pulled children into homes. A man fainted. One of the soldiers lifted a small device. It projected a holographic symbol, a crest with a star wrapped in golden wings. A voice boomed from the ship above, amplified so loud the buildings vibrated. By order of the Imperial Dominion, we seek the human known as Daniel Hayes. Daniel felt the blood drain from his face. Several neighbors turned toward him slowly. Eyes wide with fear, the soldiers raised their weapons, not to aim, but to stand at attention. Another beam of light shot down. This time, someone stepped out. Daniel's heart stopped completely. It was the old alien. He fed earlier, but now he no longer looked weak. He stood tall, his eyes glowing with power, his robe replaced by regal clothing. His presence felt heavy, commanding, like someone who carried entire star systems in his hand. Thalion looked at Daniel with calm, ancient eyes. "Human," he said softly, "your act of kindness is called the Empire." The soldiers knelt behind him. And every person in the street fell silent. Daniel could not breathe. He could not speak. He could only stare at the alien he helped for a simple meal. Now standing before him like a ruler, Thalion stepped closer. "The Empire has come," he said, "and your life will never be the same." Daniel stood frozen as the old alien, the powerful figure he truly was, walked toward him through the glowing mist. The massive Imperial Fleet hovered above the city, their engines leaving trails of shimmering blue light in the night sky. The street was silent, filled with humans who didn't know whether to run, scream, or bow. Thalion stopped just a few steps away. His eyes were no longer cloudy or weak. They shone with authority, strength, and a strange warmth. "You showed kindness when no one else did," Thalion said quietly. "Because of that, I have returned to honor you." Daniel swallowed hard. "Honor me? I just bought you dinner." "To you, it was dinner," Thalion replied. "To me, it was the first moment of true compassion I have felt in many years." Before Daniel could answer, several armored soldiers stepped forward. They bowed their heads to Thalion and then faced Daniel. "Human Daniel Hayes," one of them said in a firm voice, "you are now under the protection of the Imperial Dominion." Gasps ran through the crowd. People stepped back even farther. Some whispered, some shook in fear. Others simply stared in shock. Protection from a galactic empire was not the kind of protection any human expected. Daniel raised his hands nervously. Wait. I'm just a normal guy. I don't need an empire to protect me." Thalion smiled softly. "You misunderstand. This is not about need. This is about what you deserve." Before Daniel could protest again, the ground shook as a smaller ship landed near the street. The doors opened with a hiss and a group of tall aliens exited. Their armor was decorated with glowing blue symbols, meaning they held higher status than the soldiers. One of them spoke in a deep voice that echoed with authority. "Elder Thalion, we have secured the area. The human is ready for transport." Daniel's eyes widened. "Transport? Transport where? I didn't agree to go anywhere." Thalion placed a calm hand on Daniel's shoulder. "You are not in danger. But your world is now in danger because of me." Daniel froze. "Danger? Because of you?" Thalion nodded slowly. "There are factions within the Dominion who do not agree with my choices. They have hunted me. They would destroy entire worlds to erase me." The air grew heavy. Even the soldiers seemed uneasy at those words. Daniel felt a cold wave roll through his body. "So, people want to kill you. And now they'll come here?" Thalion did not answer immediately. That silence was enough. Daniel looked up at the massive warships hovering in the sky. The lights, the shadows, the size, they had brought an entire fleet to Earth. Not for war. Not for conquest. For him. A human who just bought a stranger's meal. "I didn't mean to cause all this," Daniel said, his voice shaking. "I swear, I didn't know who you were." Thalion gave a gentle smile. "That is why I came. You were kind without knowing. You were kind without expecting anything." The alien elder turned toward the soldiers. "Prepare the shield. The hunters will arrive soon." The soldiers responded instantly, tapping devices on their wrists. A massive dome of blue light began to rise around the entire neighborhood. People screamed and stepped back as the energy field climbed into the sky, sealing them off from the rest of the city. Daniel spun around. "You're putting a shield around my whole neighborhood?" "It is necessary," Thalion replied. "They will strike soon." A loud boom rolled across the sky, deep, thunderous. And wrong. It wasn't from the Imperial Fleet above. It was coming from space. Tale on single quotes. His face hardened. "They are here." Daniel followed his gaze upward, and his stomach dropped. Far beyond the clouds, dark shapes slipped out of the void. They were smaller than the Imperial ships, but faster, sleek, black, like flying blades. Their engines glowed blood red. One by one, dozens of hunter ships broke through Earth's atmosphere. People screamed. Cars crashed. Dogs barked wildly. The sky filled with streaks of red as the hunter ships prepared their weapons. The Imperial soldiers raised their own weapons and spread out in formation. The blue shield around the neighborhood glowed brighter, thickening as it absorbed the shock waves. Thalion placed both hands behind his back. "Daniel, listen. You must stay close to me. I will not allow harm to come to you." Daniel shook his head. "Why me? Why does any of this matter?" Thalion looked directly into his eyes. "Because I am not simply an elder of the Dominion. I am the last surviving member of the Imperial line. The throne is mine. And they want it." Daniel staggered. "You're an emperor?" Thalion nodded. "I was. I might be again. And you, Daniel Hayes, are now connected to me. The hunters will see you as a threat because you helped me." Another explosion ripped across the sky, closer this time. Red streaks shot toward the Imperial ships. The Imperial Fleet responded with blue beams that tore through the clouds. The two alien forces clashed above Earth, lighting up the night like a war between stars. Daniel could only stare in horror as ships fell burning from the sky. "Earth isn't ready for this," Daniel whispered, his voice trembling. "You're bringing a war here." Thalion turned to him calmly. "Earth was never ready. But you are stronger than you believe." Daniel shook his head. "I'm just a mechanic." "You are a human who showed compassion," Thalion said. "In my people's culture, that means something powerful." Another hunter ship broke through the Imperial defense and dove toward the shield around the neighborhood. Its red glow grew brighter as it prepared to crash into the barrier. People screamed and ran. The ground shook. Daniel grabbed Thalian's arm. Do something. Thalian closed his eyes and lifted his hand. A pulse of golden light shot from his palm and blasted upward. It hit the hunter ship with a deafening crack. The ship exploded before it touched the shield. Daniel stared at Thalian in shock. You can do that? Thalian nodded. I have much to teach you. But first, we must survive. The sky roared as more hunter ships broke through the clouds. The Imperial soldiers held the line around Daniel. The shield trembled. Fire rained down from the battle above. Thalian stepped forward. Power glowing around him. Daniel felt his heart race as he realized something terrifying. This wasn't just a fight between aliens. This was the beginning of a war on Earth. And he was in the center of it. The night sky burned with fire as the Imperial Fleet and the hunters clashed above the shield. Blue and red beams crossed like lightning, tearing through the darkness. Explosions lit the clouds, shaking windows and sending shockwaves across the ground. Daniel felt his heart pounding so hard he could barely breathe. The whole world felt like it was breaking apart. Thalian stood tall, golden energy glowing around him like a living sun. Even the Imperial soldiers kept their distance from him now, as if the power inside him could melt stone. Another hunter ship slammed into the shield. The energy barrier rippled violently. People screamed. Some hid behind cars. Others covered their ears from the thunder like blasts. Daniel stayed near Thalian because he knew moving farther away would only put him in greater danger. Thalian's voice was calm, too calm for the chaos around them. Daniel, the hunters will keep coming. They want me alive or dead, and they will not leave until they get what they want. Daniel tightened his fists. So what do we do? We end the hunt, Thalian said. Tonight. Before Daniel could ask how, Thalian raised his hand again. A beam of golden light shot into the sky. The hunters who were diving downward veered off, their ship shaking as if hit by invisible force. Several more spiraled out of control and exploded in the clouds. Daniel flinched each time. A ship burst like a fireball. Thalian. How strong are you? Daniel whispered. Thalian didn't look at him. Strong enough to destroy worlds. But that is not why I am here. The ground rumbled again as a massive hunter dreadnought broke through the atmosphere. It was at least 5 times larger than the others, covered in heavy armor and blood-red markings. Its engines glowed like magma, and its weapons hummed with a deadly pulse. The Imperial soldiers tensed. One of them spoke urgently. Elder Thalian, that ship carries their leader. Thalian's eyes narrowed. I feared he would come. The dreadnought fired a massive red beam toward the shield. The blast hit like a meteor strike. The shield cracked, flickered, and dimmed. People screamed and ran. Daniel stumbled, but Thalian caught him before he fell. This is the final strike, Thalian said. If the shield collapses, they will slaughter everyone here. Daniel swallowed, his voice shaking. You can stop it, right? Thalian looked at him with a strange sadness. Yes, but the cost may be great. Before Daniel could ask what he meant, the dreadnought launched hundreds of smaller drones, red spheres with spinning blades of energy. They swarmed toward the neighborhood like a cloud of angry insects. Imperial soldiers fired upward. Blue beams shot out, destroying many of them, but more kept coming. One drone broke through and flew straight toward a group of terrified humans. Daniel ran instinctively. He grabbed a metal rod from the ground and swung it like a baseball bat. The drone hit the rod, sparks flying, and crashed to the pavement. Daniel stood breathless. I got one. A soldier shouted. Stay behind the line, human. Daniel ignored him. More drones rushed in, glowing red like angry eyes. The soldiers fought them, but Daniel saw one darting toward a child hiding behind a car. Without thinking, Daniel ran and threw himself between the child and the drone. The drone charged its weapon. Before it fired, A golden blast shot across the pavement and shattered it into dust. Daniel turned. Thalion was standing a few feet away, his hands still glowing. "You are brave," Thalion said softly. "Too brave for someone who claims to be ordinary." Daniel breathed hard. "People here need help. I can't just watch." Thalion nodded. "Then stay close. You may survive this night after all." The dreadnought above charged its main cannon again. The sky glowed blood-red. Thalion stepped forward. "Enough!" The word echoed like thunder. He lifted both hands. Golden light exploded from his body, forming a massive wave that shot upward. It hit the dreadnought with such force that the giant ship shook violently, its armor cracking like breaking glass. Inside the dreadnought, the hunter commander appeared as a giant hologram in the sky. His skin was dark metallic, his eyes burning with hatred. "Thalion!" The commander roared. "You betrayed the throne. You abandoned the Dominion. Now you hide on this primitive world like a coward." Thalion's voice was calm but powerful. "I did not abandon the throne. I walked away from corruption. You turned the Dominion into a weapon of fear." The commander snarled. "Power is fear." "No," Thalion said firmly. "Power is mercy." Daniel felt the ground vibrating as the two forces clashed with words and energy. The commander raised his hand. "Then die with your humans." He fired the dreadnought's main cannon again. The shield shattered. The red beam rushed downward. Daniel screamed, "Thalion, move!" But Thalion didn't move. He lifted his hands one last time. Golden energy erupted from him, forming a massive protective sphere around the entire neighborhood. The red beam slammed into it, shaking the earth. The force was so strong that buildings cracked and cars slid across the pavement. Daniel felt heat on his skin. He covered a nearby child and prayed it would end soon. The golden sphere began to crack. Thalion groaned, his body trembling. His eyes glowed brighter. The air around him rippled. "Daniel," he said weakly, "forgive me." Daniel crawled to him. "Thalion, don't do this." Thalion smiled sadly. "I must." With a final cry, Thalion unleashed all his energy in one massive burst. A golden shockwave exploded upward, engulfing the dreadnought. The giant ship cracked apart, its engines bursting into fire. It fell from the sky in a trail of blazing debris before exploding far above the clouds. The remaining hunter ships panicked and retreated into space. Fleeing like frightened insects, the sky finally went quiet. The golden sphere faded. Thalion collapsed to his knees. Daniel ran to him and held him up. "Thalion, stay with me." Thalion's voice was soft. "The Empire is safe now. And Earth is safe because of you." Daniel shook his head, tears in his eyes. "You saved us." "You saved me first," Thalion whispered. Imperial soldiers rushed forward, kneeling beside their fallen leader. One removed his helmet, tears in his eyes. "Elder Thalion, we must take you home." Thalion looked at Daniel. "Come with me." Daniel froze. "Me?" Thalion nodded slowly. "You showed mercy when no one else did. Our empire needs voices like yours." Daniel looked around at his neighborhood broken, damaged, but alive. People watched him, waiting for his choice. He looked back at Thalion. "Okay," Daniel whispered. "I'll go." Thalion smiled weakly. The soldiers carried him onto the ship. Daniel followed, feeling the warmth of the rising sun behind him. As the Imperial Fleet lifted into the sky, Earth grew smaller below. Daniel Hayes, the human who bought an old alien a simple meal, was no longer just a mechanic. He was now part of a new destiny among the stars. And the universe would remember his kindness forever.